Picture the scene. It is chaotic. It is heartbreak. It is the moment where love hits a brick wall made of ancient tradition and modern paranoia. We are looking at a montage of Jenny Slatten, a woman who gave up her life in America for love, now dissolving into tears. We hear the voice of Sumit, but it isn't the sweet, accommodating voice we are used to. It is the voice of a man pushed to the brink, screaming at the top of his lungs. He isn't yelling at his parents. He isn't yelling at a scammer. He is yelling at his wife. The words cut deeper than any knife. "You have ruined my reputation." That is what he screams. But why? What could Jenny possibly have done to destroy a man standing in his community within a matter of minutes? Was it a fight? Was it a secret revealed? No, it was a t-shirt. We are looking at a scandal that set the streets of Delhi on fire, a moment that turned a loving home into a prison. We are digging into the dress code scandal that threatened to destroy everything. We have exclusive theories, insider reports, and a timeline that suggests Sumit didn't just get angry. He may have tried to lock Jenny away to save face. We aren't just talking about fabric here. We are talking about a woman losing her identity piece by piece. Did Sumit actually forbid her from leaving the room? We have a theory that changes the entire way you see this marriage. Before we unlock the doors on this terrifying theory and expose the truth about what really happened behind closed doors in Delhi, you need to do one thing. If you want to stay ahead of the drama and know the secrets the producers try to hide, smash that like button right now. It tells the algorithm that you demand the truth. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and ring the bell. You do not want to miss the deep dives we have coming up. Now, let's go back to the heat. To understand why this exploded, you have to understand the pressure cooker that is a Delhi summer. We are not talking about a warm day in California. We are talking about 45 degrees Celsius. That is 113 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a heat that feels physical, like a heavy blanket wrapping around your throat, choking you. The air is still, dusty, and relentless. For Jenny, coming from the dry, air-conditioned comfort of Palm Springs, this isn't just weather. It is a survival situation. She is trapping herself inside the house just to breathe. She thinks she is safe. She thinks that the four walls of their apartment are her sanctuary, a place where the rules of the outside world don't apply. She is American. To her, home is where you unbutton, where you relax, where you strip down to your comfort level. In Palm Springs, wearing a tank top and a pair of shorts inside your own house isn't a statement. It's just Tuesday. It is logical. But Jenny forgot where she was. Or maybe she just desperately needed to cool down. She decides to wear a sleeveless top and a pair of shorts. It's an innocent mistake. She isn't trying to be provocative. She isn't trying to make a statement. She is simply trying to keep her body temperature from hitting the danger zone. She walks around the living room, feeling the slight relief of air on her skin. She feels free. For a few minutes, she forgets the eyes. She forgets the mother-in-law. She forgets the thousands of years of conservative history pressing down on the roof of their building. She thinks she is just a woman in her home. But in this specific neighborhood, in this specific culture, privacy is an illusion. The walls have ears, and the windows have eyes. Jenny makes the fatal error. She steps out onto the terrace. She just wants a breeze. She wants to see the sky. She steps out from the shadows of the living room into the blinding Indian sun. She feels the wind for a second, and she smiles. But that smile is about to be wiped off her face. She doesn't realize that in these densely packed Delhi colonies, the houses are not islands. They are stacked on top of each other, next to each other, balconies facing balconies, rooftops overlooking rooftops. Your business is never just your business. It belongs to the community, and the community is watching. We need to talk about the antes. In every neighborhood, there is a network. It is faster than the internet and more destructive than a tabloid. It is the network of the neighboring women. As Jenny stands there, looking out at the city, the shutters across the alleyway crack open. A woman on the adjacent roof stops hanging her laundry. Eyes narrow. Whispers start. To Jenny, she is wearing summer clothes. To the neighborhood, she is standing on display, flagrantly violating the unspoken code of modesty. The word starts floating on the wind, lighter than air, but heavier than lead. Besharam, shameless. It happens in slow motion. The fingers start pointing. The whispers turn into hushed phone calls. They see an older woman, a foreigner, displaying her legs and shoulders in broad daylight. In the West, this is nothing. In a conservative enclave of Delhi, This is an act of war against decency. They don't see a woman trying to cool off. They see Sumit's wife disrespecting the entire colony. They see a Westerner spitting on their values. And the gossip network activates with military precision. This is where the betrayal happens. If these neighbors actually cared about Sumit or Jenny, they might have shouted across the gap, "Sister, cover up, people are looking." But they don't do that. That is not how this game is played. They go for the jugular. They don't confront Jenny. They don't call it Sumit. They call the one person who holds the nuclear codes to Sumit's life. They call his mother, Sadhna. Now, we have received reports from sources close to the production that suggest this wasn't just a casual mention. This was a game of telephone that turned a molehill into a mountain. By the time the story traveled from the rooftop neighbor to the woman down the street, and finally to Sadhna's phone, the truth had been twisted. We theorized the conversation went something like this. The neighbor doesn't say Jenny is wearing shorts. The neighbor says, "Your daughter-in-law is parading herself on the roof. She is half naked. The men are looking. The children are asking questions. The whole colony is laughing at us. What kind of house are you running, Sadhna?" Exaggeration is the weapon of choice here. They paint a picture of debauchery. They make it sound like Jenny is putting on a show. Why? Because bringing down someone else's reputation raises your own. It's a power move. And when Sadhna hears this, her blood doesn't just boil, it evaporates. But here is the twisted part. She isn't mad because she thinks Jenny is immoral. She is mad because the family honor is being dragged through the mud. In this world, log kia kahenge, what people say, is more important than happiness, more important than truth, and certainly more important than Jenny's comfort. Sadhna doesn't verify. She doesn't ask for context. She picks up the phone and she dials Sumit. She attacks. She launches a verbal assault that would bring a stronger man to his knees. She tells him he has brought shame into the bloodline. She tells him that he has brought a whore into the family. These are the words that haunt Sumit. This is the domination that controls him. Now we move to the commute of shame. This is the psychological deep dive into Sumit's mind that the show glosses over. Sumit is likely at work, or maybe he's out running errands, feeling good, feeling like he's managing his double life effectively. Then, the phone rings. He sees "Mom" on the caller ID. His stomach drops. He answers, expecting the usual nagging. Instead, he gets an avalanche. He hears that his wife is naked on the roof. He hears that the neighbors are spitting on his name. He hears his mother crying and screaming that she can't show her face at the temple. Watch the transformation. At that moment, Sumit stops being a husband. He stops being a partner. He reverts to being a terrified, obedient son. The fear of his mother is hardwired into his DNA. But it's not just fear of her, it's the fear of society. He imagines the whispers. He imagines walking down the street and seeing the neighbors smirking at him, thinking he is a weak man who cannot control his woman. That is the toxicity of the patriarchy kicking in. He isn't worried about Jenny's feelings. He isn't worried if she is okay. He is worried about his image. The ride home is a nightmare. Every mile, his anger builds. It builds like the pressure in that deli heat. He starts rewriting the narrative in his head. Jenny isn't a victim of a conservative culture. In his mind, right now, Jenny is the aggressor. She is the one who didn't listen. She is the one who is stubborn. She is the one who refuses to assimilate. By the time he gets to the front door, he has convinced himself that Jenny did this on purpose to humiliate him. He is sweating, he is shaking, and he is ready to explode. He isn't coming home to comfort his wife. He is coming home to discipline her. The door is about to slam shut, and the sanctuary Jenny thought she had is about to turn into an interrogation room. The door slams shut. It is a sound that echoes through the entire apartment, shaking the walls and shattering the peace Jenny thought she had found. Sumit bursts into the room, and the energy shifts instantly. Jenny, innocent and unaware of the storm that has been brewing outside, looks up. She smiles. She is happy to see him. She starts to say hello, but the words die in her throat. She sees his face. It is twisted with a rage she has never seen before. He doesn't look at her eyes. He doesn't look at her face. He looks straight at her legs. He looks at her bare shoulders. His eyes scan her body not with love, but with disgust. He doesn't ask how her day was. He launches the attack. "Are you crazy?" he screams. "Did you go outside like this?" Jenny is confused. She looks down at her outfit. It's a t-shirt and shorts. It is standard attire for a human being trying to survive a heat wave. It's hot, Sumit, she pleads. I'm melting in here. I just stepped out for air. But Sumit isn't listening to her. He isn't hearing a woman in distress. He is hearing an excuse. You are burning my reputation to ashes, he yells back. This is the moment the culture clash stops being a cute plot point and becomes a weapon. We have to break down this argument because it represents everything wrong with their dynamic. On one side, you have Jenny. Her argument is rooted in logic and individual liberty. My body, my comfort. I am American. This is who I am. She believes that her physical well-being matters more than the opinion of a stranger across the street. On the other side, you have Sumit. His argument is rooted in collective honor. We live in a society. You are making me look weak. To him, her individual comfort is irrelevant if it costs him social capital. The turning point in this fight is brutal. Sumit stops arguing logic. He realizes he can't win on logic because, frankly, it is hot outside. So he switches tactics. He reaches for the most painful weapon he has, shame. He looks her in the eye and tells her that the neighbors are calling her dirty. He tells her they are laughing at her. He tells her she looks like a woman of loose morals. You can see the light go out in Jenny's eyes. This breaks her heart. She didn't want to be a rebel. She just wanted to be cool. Now, she feels dirty. She feels exposed. And then, Sumit drops the bomb. The twist that makes this entire situation radioactive. He reveals that his mother called. The moment he mentions Sadhna, the room freezes. This triggers Jenny's trauma. She knows what Sadhna thinks of her. She knows the hatred that woman holds. But instead of defending his wife, Sumit uses his mother's anger to gaslight Jenny. If you just covered up, he says, my mom wouldn't hate us. This is your fault. Let that sink in. He is blaming Jenny for his mother's unreasonable hatred. He is telling her that if she had worn pants in 100-degree weather, decades of family prejudice would magically disappear. It is a lie. It is manipulation. And it sets the stage for what we believe happened next. This brings us to the theory that has been circulating in the deepest, most exclusive corners of the fandom. The show moved on. The cameras cut away. But we have pieced together a timeline based on insider reports and leaked details that suggest the horror didn't end with the argument. We call this the house arrest theory. We believe that after the cameras went down, Sumit didn't just ask Jenny to change. We believe he issued an ultimatum that fundamentally changed the nature of their relationship. According to sources, Sumit laid down the law in a way that was meant to prove his masculinity to himself and his family. The new rules were absolute. No sleeveless tops. No shorts. Ever. Even inside the house if the curtains were open. And the most chilling rule of all. If she steps onto the balcony, her head must be covered. But the kicker, the part that the show didn't air, is the threat that accompanied these rules. We believe Sumit told her, if you cannot dress like an Indian wife, you are forbidden from leaving this room. This isn't just a dress code. It is a lockdown. It is the behavior of a jailer, not a husband. Imagine the visual narrative of the wardrobe purge. Picture Sumit, fueled by the adrenaline of his mother's phone call, marching to the closet. He doesn't ask Jenny's permission. He starts pulling things out. Tank tops, shorts, the clothes that define Jenny's American identity. They are thrown onto a pile. He is purging her past. He is erasing the woman he fell in love with and trying to construct a new woman, a woman who fits into the narrow box his society has built. He forces a salwar kameez on her. Now, the salwar kameez is a beautiful, traditional garment. Millions of women wear it with pride. But when it is forced upon you against your will, it ceases to be clothing. It becomes a uniform of submission. Sumit isn't asking her to appreciate the culture. He is demanding she hide herself. He hands her the fabric and tells her to put it on. Jenny isn't just changing clothes. She is shedding her skin. She is realizing that to survive in this marriage, she has to disappear. Now we enter the phase we call prisoner in paradise. The argument is over. Sumit has won. But look at the cost. Jenny is now sitting in that room. The air conditioner is rattling, struggling against the heat. She is fully covered from neck to ankle in heavy fabric. She is sweating. She is miserable. She is isolated. The psychology of control here is fascinating and terrifying. Is Sumit a villain? It is easy to say yes, but it is more complex. He is a victim of patriarchal bargaining. He thinks he is protecting her. In his warped mind, by locking her in the house and covering her body. He is saving her from the insults of the neighbors. He thinks he is being a good husband. He tells himself, "I am doing this for us." But in reality, he is imprisoning her to protect his own ego. He is sacrificing her happiness on the altar of public opinion. Jenny sits there, and the silence of the house is deafening. She looks at the door. It isn't locked with a key, but it is locked by fear. She knows if she walks out that door in the wrong outfit, the cycle starts all over again. The phone calls, the screaming, the shame. So she stays. She sits on the bed, trapping her heat and her tears inside the layers of the Sal War. She came to India for a fairy tale, but as she sits there, wiping sweat from her forehead, she realizes she is living in a cautionary tale. She is a prisoner in her own home, guarded by the man who promised to set her free. We have watched the explosion, and we have witnessed the lockdown. Now, we have to look at the wreckage. This is the moment where the reality TV facade cracks, and we see the raw pain of a woman who realizes she might have made a terrible mistake. We need to talk about Jenny's breakdown. It isn't just crying, it is a collapse of the soul. Imagine her sitting there, the heat still radiating through the walls, looking into the camera lens as if it is her only friend left in the world. She wipes a tear, and the words spill out, heavy with regret. "I gave up everything for him," she says. And she means everything. She gave up her apartment in Palm Springs. She gave up her proximity to her daughters and grandchildren. She took a massive hit on her Social Security savings. She burned the bridge back to her old life because she believed this new life was built on love. But now, sitting in a room where she isn't even allowed to choose her own t-shirt, the math doesn't add up. The fear in her eyes is palpable. It is the fear of total dependency. She realizes she is aging. She is alone in a country where she doesn't speak the language fluently, where she cannot navigate the legal system, and where she is completely reliant on a man who values his neighbor's whispers more than her dignity. This is the darkest realization a partner can have. The person who is supposed to be your shield is actually the one holding the sword. She isn't just sad about the clothes. She is terrified that she has trapped herself in a situation where she has no voice, no power, and no exit strategy. This brings us to the verdict. We have to turn this over to you, because this is the debate that is tearing the internet apart. We have seen this pattern before. Think back to Nicole and Aizen. Think back to the countless other couples where culture was used as a convenient excuse for control. Is Sumit right to demand respect for his society? Does living in Rome mean you must do as the Romans do, even if it means suffering in silence? Or is this something darker? Is this abuse masquerading as tradition? We have to ask the hard question. If Sumit wins this battle, what is next? This is the slippery slope that terrifies us. Today, it is a sleeveless top. Tomorrow, will he stop her from speaking English in public because it draws too much attention? Does he stop her from eating meat because the neighbors disapprove? We have heard whispers from sources close to the couple's circle that Sumit has already started monitoring who she talks to on the phone, afraid she is complaining to her American friends. If true, this clothing scandal is just the first step toward the total erasure of Jenny's personality. He is slowly chipping away at the parts of her that make her Jenny, until only a silent, obedient shadow remains. Let's be clear. Love requires compromise, but love should never cost you your freedom. Love should not require you to set yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm. What we are witnessing is not a cultural misunderstanding. It is a power struggle. Sumit is trying to prove to the world that he is a man, but he is doing it by diminishing his wife. He is acting like a modern husband when it suits him, enjoying the benefits of an American partner. But the second the pressure mounts, he reverts to a conservative hardliner, hiding in plain sight. We have laid out the evidence. We have walked you through the heat, the gossip, the mother's interference, and the terrifying ultimatum that followed. We have exposed the theory of the house arrest and the wardrobe purge. Now, the gavel is in your hands. Did Sumit go too far? Is he protecting her, or is he possessing her? Should Jenny pack her bags and leave Delhi tonight before she loses herself completely? We need to hear your voice in this. Do not stay silent. Hit that like button if you think Jenny should be allowed to wear whatever she wants in her own home. If you think Sumit is right to enforce the rules, tell us why. Comment Team Sumit or Team Jenny down below, and let's get this debate started in the comments section. We read every single one. And listen, If you want more of these deep dives, if you want the investigations that the network is too scared to air, you need to subscribe right now. We are just getting started uncovering the dark side of reality TV. Thanks for watching and stay tuned. The truth is always stranger than fiction.